Do you have a bank you boycott? One that has gained your loyalty? Boycott RBC. When I was in university I had a credit card through Royal Bank and it was compromised. I went into my branch after I found out it was over its limit and they put a query on the charges, flagging some of them as fraudulent and some as duplicates. I received 2 letters in the mail about a month later. The ones they had flagged as fraudulent were refunded. The second letter said the ones flagged as duplicates were not duplicates and would have to be paid. I went back into the bank to tell them that they were all fraudulent even if they weren't duplicates. Because of the time from the original request, getting the letters, then getting back into the bank, they said I could no longer fight the charges because more than 45 days had passed since the charges were made on the account. I said wouldn't leave until talking to a manager, but they said they wouldn't do anything for me. It was $800, not a ton for them, but that was my food budget for 4 months and I had to live creatively that year, and Noodle Surprise was invented. And yes, I would say it like that. At one point I remember saying, if I leave here today without you doing anything to help me, I will never bank with you again for my entire life. 25 years later and I never have. Note, some of this is admittedly my fault, being young and dumb. I could have avoided any or all of it by being more assertive and quicker to respond. Loyalty none. They aren't loyal to you, why should we be loyal to them? It's clear from the answers given that all banks are basically the same, and which way people go depends on how their specific encounters with customer-facing staff goes. I am loyal to none. I'll bank with whoever has the offers that best match what I'm looking for. As it stands now, that would be BMO for me. Plus my local branch treats me really well. Scotiabank. Their fees were disgustingly high, and when I brought it up with an advisor, they basically said I don't have enough money for anyone to care what I have to say. So they can suck my dick. Banks in Canada are huge. When they're that big, they're gonna have bad employees. The banks are all the same. It really comes down to the employees that you encounter. RBC. Was 12 years old. Got some BS $20 fee that they would not do anything about. 40 years and several million in earnings later, I have never darkened their door since. Boycott all but Tangerine and just use them to facilitate my wealth simple business. All banks, credit unions are the way. Loyalty Tangerine thus far. I have been very satisfied with all of Tangerine's products for many years. Also wealth simple, although technically not a bank. Boycott any bank that charges monthly fees. Tangerine is good stuff. I've worked for and banked with most of the Canadian banks. Boycott BMO hands down by a country mile. Loyalty TD. Boycott BMO. Loyalty HSBC. Heartbroken and wondering where to bank. Feel like him going to end up at Tangerine. I hate Canadian banks. BMO. Did that thing where they ordered things funny to make sure I took a $15 surcharge for dipping below the required amount in my account. Went in to talk to them with the mindset if they didn't waive it I'd close the account right then and there. They wouldn't bend, so I closed the account. Without a hint of shame. We'll have to charge you the $15 fee again for not keeping the full balance since you'll be closing the account. Hope that $30 was worth ensuring I never bank there again. Man, BMO is really divisive here. It basically alternates between boycott and loyalty as you scroll down. I'm curious if it's a city versus rural thing. BMO is the bank for small town Ontario. Every tiny village has one, often the only option, and I feel like they probably serve their small communities well. Boycott Scotiabank. They sued a family member. Won't get into details, but the family member was not responsible for the issue and didn't pay Scotiabank a dime. Boycott is for the principal for all the stress they caused during the lawsuit. Loyalty whoever is offering the best deal this year. Boycott RBC. Opened an account as a youngin and had no input for some time, as I was young and didn't care much for what was in my bank. All of a sudden I see that my $250 in there was now $110. I argued with them, obviously it's my young negligence, but I won't work with somebody who says my completely stagnant account costs them $13 a month or whatever to maintain. Credit unions for life. Interesting question. For me, HSBC. Decades ago they divulged an account in my name only to my now ex-husband. I had a right to confidentiality that they just ignored, and I've never trusted them since. I despise RBC for a different reason. They kept closing branches and transferring my account seemingly to random places around the city. Finally I had had enough, paid off and cancelled my RBC credit card, and transferred my checking account balance to my credit union account. Tangerine rocks. The rest can soak in deer piss. Boycott BMO. They took $50 from my account for inactivity, except I had transaction records that showed my account hadn't been inactive. After the teller refused to do anything about it, I had to stand there staring at her silently for 5 minutes before she got uncomfortable enough that she finally decided to refund me. Also, they would never let me do bill payments over $1,000 per day, so it always took me over a week to pay my university tuition. Boycott Desjardins Loyalty BMO. Yay, fuck RBC. I have no loyalty to any bank. Period. I have several accounts with different banks. I keep my money with whoever is giving me the best rate offer at the time. As soon as I find a better deal, I move the money around. Same concept with credit card. Boycott RBC. When my mom passed away, the AST manager who helped me the first day ignored my voicemails and emails for 6 months. Then the loans person told me something was impossible. I went to Scotiabank and they said no problem, there's nothing unusual about what you're looking to do. Scotiabank. When they realized I was going to close my account, they performed a cash advance that I never authorized, and then had the audacity to claim that I had. I reported it, but unfortunately both they and I know that they can get away with it. Boycott non-loyalty none. The only answer that makes sense. Take advantage of whatever works best for you, leave them as soon as a better option comes along, and always be willing to come back if they prove themselves worthwhile. Loyal Tangerine and EQ the Giants. I don't have the capacity to get into the nitty-gritty details. All I'll say is that RBC were needlessly aggressive and litigious with my friend in the wake of her father's death. They used lawyers to bully her into something that was unfair under the threat of a lawsuit that would have cost them more to execute than they stood to potentially gain. The entire situation was completely disgusting and unnecessary. I closed down all my accounts with them after that. I've been loving Tangerine. Use it a bunch. Never paid them a penny. I've never spoken to a single human being that works there. Perfect. This is like asking which telecom is not shit. Here is the secret: all of them are. Take it for what it is. Whichever gives you the best incentive and covers your need, go there. Someone offering better switch. Loyalty to a company makes 0 sense. They don't care. I avoid Scotiabank at all cost. I had a mortgage with them. Sold the house and moved halfway across the province. However, because I left my original city, I had to pay huge fees. $28,000 go close my mortgage because my mortgage wasn't with Scotia, it was with Scotia City. Name nowhere on my documents did it state this. I got pretty upset. Spoke with manager, said nothing they could do. Called office of president of Scotia. Nothing they could do. Paid my lawyer to review. 4 years later I got my money back and got a letter of apology. Fuck you, Scotia. Not boycott, but I do avoid BMO due to really bad customer experience in the past, to the point I was ready to rage quit but didn't because it wasn't worth it to cause a scene. I just switched banks as soon as I could. Loyalty? None, but Meridian Credit Union is pretty close as they've been amazing. The only other FI that has given me great customer service is Amex. I jump fees all the time but always find that I still keep my Meridian account active, especially since the account can be opaque for the increasingly rare times I need to use a branch.